Tragic scene. BC Café attacked. Media silence sparks national concern and fear. Late one night in the heart of Surrey, British Columbia, chaos erupted when a string of gunshots tore through the calm outside Kapil Sharma's newly opened cafe. Kap's Café had just begun welcoming customers, an immigrant success story, a family business built on laughter, hospitality, and heart. It was meant to be a symbol of hope and community. Instead, it became a crime scene. Bullets shattered glass and safety in an instant. Though no injuries were reported, the psychological wound ran deep. Patrons and neighbors spoke of panic, children awakened by the echo of gunfire, and a haunting sense that this was more than just random violence. It was a message. Police confirmed multiple rounds were fired into the cafe from a vehicle speeding away into the night. Investigators now suspect links to organized extremist elements. While no arrests have been made, whispers suggest this could be tied to threats previously issued against high-profile Indian origin figures in Canada. Authorities are pursuing leads, but for many in Surrey's South Asian community, this wasn't an isolated incident. It was the latest escalation in a disturbing trend of intimidation. The fact that this happened at a place associated with joy, food, and laughter made it all the more chilling. What caught people off guard wasn't just the attack, it was what came after. Or more precisely, what didn't. There was no breaking news banner across national networks. No live hits from reporters outside the cafe. No political roundtables or urgent discussions. The silence was not just baffling, it felt deliberate. As if the event wasn't important enough to warrant national attention. As if the cafe, its patrons, its message of inclusion and cultural celebration simply didn't matter. The question echoed online and in community circles. If this had been a cafe tied to another demographic, would the media still have looked away? The timing of the attack adds a deeper layer of gravity. Canada had just undergone a seismic political shift. Mark Carney, newly elected as Liberal Party leader, had replaced Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister following a snap election on April 28, 2025. It was a turbulent campaign filled with passionate debates about national security, immigration, extremism, and media accountability. Voters were promised a new era of transparency and leadership. And yet, within weeks of that vote, a brazen act of violence unfolded in one of Canada's most multicultural cities, followed by near-total silence from the very media outlets tasked with informing the public. During the election campaign, Carney positioned himself as a calm, experienced leader ready to stabilize Canada's increasingly volatile political landscape. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, on the other hand, spoke directly to people's fears, channeling frustration over crime, government inaction, and what he called media elitism. Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, focused on empathy and infrastructure, particularly mental health support. But all three leaders now find themselves facing the same uncomfortable question: what happens when violence visits ordinary citizens and the public is left in the dark? Kapil Sharma, for his part, refused to be shaken. The beloved entertainer released a brief statement, reminding followers that life must move forward. He expressed gratitude for the support and urged calm. His resilience was moving, but he should never have had to make that statement in isolation. There was no official press conference by federal authorities. No meaningful outreach from national broadcasters. Instead, it was local residents who rallied, leaving flowers at the door, sharing posts online, and vowing to protect their community from fear and division. The emotional toll of the silence is real. When a tragedy isn't acknowledged nationally, it creates a vacuum. That vacuum fills with anxiety, speculation, and mistrust. Communities begin to feel invisible. Victims begin to feel voiceless. It's not enough to condemn violence after the fact. The absence of public acknowledgement is itself a kind of injustice. And when the media chooses to bury these stories under fluff pieces or election horse race analysis, it sends a signal: some stories don't sell, and some lives don't trend. This all comes in the shadow of an even more devastating event: the mass shooting in Vancouver just days before the election, where 11 people were killed and dozens wounded. That horror received a burst of media coverage, but even it faded faster than expected. For citizens of British Columbia, there's a growing sense that the country is moving on too quickly from trauma, that national institutions are becoming numb, that the cycle of tragedy followed by disinterest is becoming normalized. This is a dangerous place for any democracy to be. In cafes, mosques, temples, churches, and community halls, the conversation has shifted. People are asking, who's watching out for us? Where are our leaders when fear grips our neighborhoods? Where is the media when truth needs to be told? Canadians don't expect miracles, but they do expect honesty and courage. They expect their pain to matter. They expect leaders, Carney, Poilievre, Singh, not just to campaign on unity, but to embody it in moments of crisis. Moments like this. The failure to adequately cover this attack exposes a deeper fracture in Canada's media and political culture. It's not just about bias, it's about bandwidth. It's about who gets heard and who doesn't, who gets urgent airtime and who gets buried in the scroll. If a cafe linked to a beloved public figure can be riddled with bullets and still go ignored, what chance does the average citizen have? Media institutions must reckon with their blind spots. Politicians must demand more than ratings. They must demand responsibility. Moving forward, the path is clear. Canadians must act. They must challenge silence wherever it appears, write letters, organize forums, demand accountability from public broadcasters and private outlets alike. We must insist that national tragedies be treated with national seriousness, that community trauma be treated with collective care, that extremism, no matter where it comes from, be exposed and confronted with urgency. Because silence in these moments is not neutral, it is harmful. Above all, Canadians must remember their power. In voting booths, on social media, in letters to editors and calls to MLAs, citizens can change the tone of national discourse. The cafe attack in Surrey cannot be forgotten. Not just because it happened, but because it revealed a deeper truth. Safety is not just about policing. It's about recognition, respect, and the moral courage to speak when it would be easier to stay quiet. Fear thrives in silence. Courage begins with voice.